Do you ever feel that writing is just one more thing that you're adding to your endless to-do list? Like the joy is gone and now it's just pressure? What if I told you that writing isn't about grinding harder, but about growing as a writer? So today, following up on last week's video, I'm going to share 5 new tips with you. We're going to talk about 5 soulful and sustainable ways to build your writing career so that it lasts, so that you're not burnt out, and so that you enjoy writing. If you want to reconnect with the why of your words, then this video is for you.
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Julie Amante channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julie Amante. I'm a women's fiction author, and I create these videos to connect with other authors and to help you to write your stories and reach your dream of becoming, hopefully, a published author one day. So let's get started. So last week I shared some tips that I got from reading Rick Rubin's book, A Creative. I'll share it one more time. The Creative Act, A Way of Being. And the reason I've decided to make these couple of videos is because people are always so stressed about writing. It seems that there's just so much pressure to write the right things or to for your writing to go somewhere or do well rather than just enjoying the process of writing and letting that creative spirit lead you to your next story. So what do we hear out there in the world? We hear that we should be writing faster. We hear that we should be posting more on social media. We hear that we should publish often. If you're already a published author, you should have, you should publish fast and publish more. And so yes, consistency matters and publishing matters. But if you are so completely stressed that you no longer enjoy writing, you can't really write from an empty vessel. So if you have nothing else to give because you're so tired and you're so stressed and you're feeling so much pressure to do the writing, then you're not really enjoying it and you're not going to be at your best. And it's really interesting because I don't think it used to be that way. I mean, being a writer in 2025 means that you are doing everything. You're not just writing, but you're expected to, especially if you become successful and your book actually is published and people are reading it, then you're supposed to be a speaker, you're supposed to be a blogger, you're supposed to be a teacher, you're supposed to be a social butterfly that just is on the dozens of social media sites that are out there. And you're supposed to post often on those sites because you want to keep connecting with your audience. You're supposed to be deep and introspective when you're writing, but then you're also supposed to be really outgoing, where most writers really prefer not to be super outgoing. And so what's happening is that we're supposed to be all these other things rather than just being writers, which is what we really want to do. So this video is really just about learning to push all that away and be present with ourselves and with our work. I want you to build a writing life that feeds your soul rather than drains it. So let's talk about how to do that. Okay, so the very first thing is that you want to create a rhythm and not a schedule. This is coming from somebody who's always telling you that you should have a schedule. I sit on, Sunday mornings with my planner, my multiple planners, my stickers, and I plan an outrageously crazy schedule that I'm probably going to fail at completing. And I'm not the only one that does that, right? You might do the same thing. I know many people that do. They plan these, 18 to 20 hour days and they still don't get everything done. And it's just because we're in this productivity culture that tells us that if we don't get all these things done, if we don't meet our word quota or page count, we're actually going to fail. We're not going to get anywhere. And though I'm never going to say don't plan, don't be organized, because I would be lying to you if I told you not to do that, and that if you don't, that you don't need to do that. You do need to do that. But you're also a human being, and so am I. And our creative spirit doesn't always do well with schedules. Sometimes it just needs space. We need time to write. And more importantly, what we need is we need to honor our rhythm and the rhythm of the world and nature and the seasons. Okay, so I tend to get a lot more done in the summertime. And the reason why is obvious. There's more sunlight, right? I have more energy in a way because I'm on it, there's just more daylight hours. I don't get tired as quickly. And so I can get a lot more done. I can go to conferences, I can write, I can stay up until 10 o'clock at night, getting things done and then go and read for 2 hours and then sleep 4 or 5 hours and get up, 5 in the morning when the sun is shining again and do it all over again. Um, During the summer, that's okay. During the winter, though, I tend to slow down a little bit. And so, what we want to do is we just want to honor the rhythm of life and the rhythm of your own life. So, depending on your work schedule, your home schedule, if you don't honor that and you try to fit things in where it doesn't work, then you're going to become frustrated and stressed, and you're not going to be able to get your work done anyway. So we do need to block out writing time, right? Because if we don't do that, we'll never have time for it. Everything else around us will take over our life. So we do want to block out that time, but you want to do it the way that is best for you. And you want to have a rhythm to it. You don't want to just sporadically do it. You can do it that way if that's the way that it works for you. But if you do it, you have a habit of getting up in the morning and getting a cup of coffee and going outside and breathing some fresh air and then sitting down to write, it becomes this rhythm of your day and it works better. Rick Rubin tells us that artists are at the mercy of the creative rhythms of nature, and it's true, right? So we are at the mercy of the rhythms of the world and of nature and of our own bodies. So we need to know ourselves and the conditions that work best for us for writing. And if we honor that creative flow of energy that we have, we're going to do much better. It's going to be less effortless, I guess. It's going to be more effortless than if you try to force doing something. If you tell yourself, oh, I need to write every night because such and such author writes at night, and that's what they told me to do. Well, if that doesn't work with your energy, then that's not going to work for you. You might be write better during the day. You might write better just on the weekends. So you do need to figure out when it works best for you. So ask yourself questions like, when do I feel most open and creatively alive? Or how do I protect my time, even in small ways, right? So do I block off some time? Do I have times when nobody's home that I can work best? So think about the structure of your day and when it's best for you to write. The second tip is to make rest part of your writing process. So how often do you make time to rest? If you're laughing, like me, probably never, right? I've actually told my students very proudly that I have my writing schedule and how many, how many pages I'm going to achieve within a week. If I work this many hours each day, this is how many pages I should achieve by the end of the week. And when Sunday comes along, if I didn't achieve those pages, then Sunday night, I don't go to sleep until those pages are done. And isn't that crazy? I mean, why would I do that? Right? Because I arbitrarily said that I was going to write 25, 30 pages, whatever, and and I only got 22 done. And instead of saying that was really good, considering the week that I had, that I got 22 pages done, no, I'm going to torture myself and I'm going to stay up extra late to finish those, and then the next morning I'm going to be exhausted. Does that make any sense? It doesn't, but I've done that. And that's because I'm not really considering how important sleep is. And sleep is only part of the rest. It's not the only type of rest that you should have. Sometimes the rest that we need is just to get away from our own work or to get away from other stresses and just read a book or take a nice walk or just spend some time outside. Or, as I mentioned last week, just doing nothing and allowing some space in your mind so that you have space for creativity to grow. And Rick Rubin, like we mentioned again last week, he says that this is being available to source, right? So when we're quiet, when we give time for between one thing to the next thing, what we're doing is we're connecting with our creative source and to our story, hopefully, whatever that we're going to write, so that we allow creativity to come through us. So take breaks. You're not being lazy. You're not wasting time. It's actually part of your creative journey to take breaks, to think, to give your imagination time to bloom. And the third tip is to let your projects breathe. So what do I mean by that? Like I said, one of the things that we see out in the world is that we need to write a lot, right? And that we need to publish a lot. And this means that we have to have like a book out every year. We have to have 3 books out every year so that we're constantly producing. But what if it takes you longer to create a story? Why is that not okay? Why is it not okay to enjoy that process of creating and actually create something of quality rather than rushing through something? J.R.R. Tolkien, who is the author of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, took 12 years to write his book. So what he did is he wrote The Hobbit in 1932. It was published in 37. And then after that, he started The Lord of the Rings, and it took him from 37 to 1949 to finish that. Okay, and then it was published in 3 volumes between 54 and 55. So, long time. You start a novel in 1937 and it doesn't get actually published till 54. That's a long time. Now, the reason that it took him so long makes perfect sense. So one of them is he was a perfectionist and it took time to create everything that he did. He developed languages and histories and the culture and the background of the Middle Earth, and that took time to do. He had to envision it, he had to write it, right? So that was one of the things. And the other is that he had a full-time academic job. So he wasn't a full-time writer. And so again, we can all relate to that, and it takes some time. So what is the problem with actually allowing ourselves the time to create our masterpieces? If one of the most successful authors of our time took his time writing, then that tells you that you can take your time writing as well, right? Some stories just take a little more time to unfold. So we have to be patient with our work and with ourselves. Having a sustainable writing life means that we are patient. We pause, we rework our stories when they need to be reworked. Sometimes we take a pause in between because life gets in the way. And we try to remind ourselves that we are artists. We're not machines. AI is already going to be mass producing books. We don't need to do that. What's going to make us different than an AI written story is that maybe we take a few years to write a story, but it's actually real. It's actually good. It's actually comes from you and your experiences. So instead of seeing slower writing as a failure, see it as taking the time to allow the story to compost and to develop. So give your work time to evolve and don't rush through it. Enjoy your writing time and don't be in a hurry to produce something every year or every time that you sit down to write. Okay, and the next step is to protect your creative energy, which means you don't have to say yes to everything. You're going to have a lot of opportunities to do things. You might be invited to attend some kind of event, a writer's event or some other kind of event. You might be invited, once you do publish your book, to give a blurb for another writer. You might be invited to an interview, be interviewed for a podcast, or to do any number of things. And they're all wonderful. I mean, most of us love doing that. We love being interviewed. We love going to writing events. We love reading other writers' books and actually giving a blurb. It's an honor to be asked to do those things. However, if you can't, or if you feel like you are just overwhelmed and you don't have time to even do your own work, it's okay to say no. We get excited about these opportunities and we want to say yes to everything, but that's when you start to feel burnt out. So it's okay to say no sometimes. You want to take advantage of some of those opportunities, but maybe you don't have to do all of them. So how do you know whether you should say yes or no? So ask yourself, does this commitment nourish me or drain me? Am I participating because it gives me joy? I really want to do this, or does it feel more like an obligation? And if it's not the positive, if it doesn't give you joy, if it's not something you want to do, if it's not something you have time to do, then it's okay just to say no and set those boundaries, because you want to protect your writing time. We don't have a lot of writing time, so you do want to protect that. And don't feel guilty, and say no when you need to. And lastly, the fifth tip to having a sustainable, happy writing career is to redefine success on your own terms. So a sustainable writing career isn't about having bestsellers and a million likes. First of all, you may never have a bestseller, and that doesn't mean that you can't have a really great writing life. You don't have to make six figures. You don't have to have a million followers. What being a writer is really about is connecting with your work, connecting with your readers, and connecting with yourself. And that's really what it's all about. So your stories should make you happy. Your stories should make your readers happy. It should share something with your readers. You should have a connection with your readers. And you should create the best thing you're capable of creating today. To me, that's success. And that's not to say that we don't all want the same thing. We don't all want, of course, we all want massively successful books. Of course, we would love to have the money that comes with that. And we'd all like to stay at home and be able to write books without having a day job. That's kind of obvious. Like, we'd all probably really love that. But does that have to happen for you to feel that you're successful? Hopefully not, because if having all those things creates tons of stress and you're really not happy and you forget about the passion and the joy that you had when you first started writing, then it's really not worth it. So ask yourself what success looks like and feels like to you, and that's what you should shoot for. And then build a writing practice that helps you to get that goal of being successful. So let's say that you are just starting out. Maybe success for you is going to be writing and finishing that novel. Maybe you don't have a novel in you at this point. Maybe you like short stories. Maybe your goal is just to write a few essays. Maybe write an essay every month. Maybe write 3 or 4 short stories in a year. Maybe it's just consistently showing up and creating that block of writing time that fits the rhythm of your life and of your soul, and actually writing. So you get to determine what is successful for you. It shouldn't be what society or other writers tell you that it should be. Okay. And because that causes unhappiness and stress. So think about what success means to you. And again, outside of writing the great American novel and making a lot of money and all that, because that is obviously, that's going to make, maybe, I mean, I even shouldn't even say obviously, maybe that's going to make you happy. And maybe you're going to consider it success, but pretend that that never happens. What else? How else can you define success for you as a writer? So I'm going to end this by saying that the writing life is like a long walk. It's not a sprint. And some people are really lucky and their first or second book just really makes it's a big hit and they become super popular, and it doesn't happen very often though. Okay. So for some people that happens, and that's wonderful. I'm happy for them. But for a lot of us, it's not. It's a slow growth. It's something that we should enjoy, because if it is going to take a lifetime, if we're going to be doing this forever, we don't want to feel unhappy. You don't want to feel pressured when we're writing. We want to actually enjoy it. We want to create things that we love. And if we do that, if you honor your own rhythm, your own dreams, your own idea of success, you're going to be happy and you're going to enjoy it. If you're trying to do something that somebody else tells you to do and have somebody else's career, then you're probably not going to be happy and you might not even continue writing. So write your stories, rest when you need it, protect your peace, and trust that you are creating something beautiful for yourself and for your audience. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you have, please like the video, please share it with friends, and please subscribe to the channel, because it does help. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.